Arroz de Marisco. Seafood rice, or Arroz de Marisco, is a very typical dish in Portuguese cuisine that originated in Praia da Vieira, in the Marinha Grande region, being awarded as one of the 7 wonders of Portuguese gastronomy. It is an iconic dish widely served across the greater Lisbon area and other coastal cities, mostly during friends and family gatherings on weekends in marisqueiras, a typical local's seafood breweries. As the name suggests, this dish is made with various types of seafood. Among these are shrimp, clams, spider crab, lobster, mussels, and cockles. The combinations of seafood used vary from region to region, depending on the recipes, availability, and prices of each type of seafood. Before cooking the rice, it is common to start with a sauté, which may include garlic, tomatoes, onions, and olive oil, the same old Portuguese way. Then the broth is added and the rice is cooked in it. At this stage, white wine can also be added for extra flavor and fragrance. The best type of rice for this dish is definitely Carolino rice. With its creamy texture and ability to absorb flavors, is often considered the best choice for this dish. Carolino rice is a genuinely Portuguese variety, and it is cultivated in the estuaries of the Sado, Tagus, and Mondego rivers. Its unique characteristics stem from factors like soil, temperature, sunlight, and water. The name Carolino reflects its similarity to rice grown in the Carolinas, USA, distinguishing it from arroz de terra. Rice cultivation has ancient roots, spreading to Korea, 850 to 500 BC, and Japan, 300 BC. In Europe, it was introduced after Alexander the Great's expedition to India and brought to the Iberian Peninsula by the Arabs in 711. In the 15th century, the era of Portuguese epics, rice cultivation was one of the agricultural practices that Portuguese navigators introduced to Africa and South America in Brazil, currently a former colony of the Portuguese Empire. From 1921 onwards, rice became an important part of the Portuguese diet, especially for the populations in the north of the country. During that same decade, large imports of rice took place from the east, Brazil, and the overseas provinces. Today, rice is for sure one of the most important elements in Portuguese cuisine, being presented through a whole variety of dishes and flavors, and seafood rice is not an exception. In 1933, in the early beginning of the dictatorship, there was a need to regulate the production and importation of rice in mainland Portugal and the overseas territories. The Rice Trade Regulatory Commission was created, and the 1937 harvest even exceeded the consumption of the Portuguese population. In 1941, the National Agronomic Station improved rice varieties, adapting them to the specific conditions of our climate and soil. As a result of this effort, there was a significant increase in rice production, reaching a record of 150,000 tons in 1952 for a consumption of 117,000 tons. Nowadays, typically, the average tourist when visiting Portugal gets confused when seeing other locals or tourists enjoying Arroz de Marisco. They think it is paella from Spain, which is not totally wrong considering the fact that both dishes have seafood and rice, and both originated in the Iberian Peninsula. On the other hand, the texture, color, and way of preparation are completely different from one another. Let's check the differences, and maybe next time you won't get confused again. Texture and broth. Portuguese Arroz de Marisco is brothy and creamy, almost like a loose risotto, made with a rich seafood stock. On the other hand, Spanish paella is dry, with separate grains of rice that absorb all the liquid during cooking. Type of rice. As previously mentioned, Arroz de Marisco typically uses Carolino rice, which absorbs the broth well. Paella uses bomba rice or similar varieties that maintain a firm texture without breaking apart. preparation and seasoning. Arroz de Marisco is made with a simple sauté, onion, garlic, tomato, and is finished with fresh cilantro. Paella starts with a sofrito, onion, garlic, tomato, and bell pepper, and is seasoned with saffron or paprika, giving it a distinctive yellowish color. Cooking method. Arroz de Marisco is cooked in a deep pot or pan, while paella is made in a paellera, a wide, shallow pan, and cooked without stirring, forming a crispy socarrat layer at the bottom. Lastly, Arroz de Marisco focuses exclusively on seafood and shellfish, while paella can also include chicken, rabbit, and even chorizo, depending on the regional variation. In the end, both are amazing dishes, but one of the key differences is in the texture. Arroz de Marisco is creamy and brothy with a flavor of its own, while paella is drier with separated grains and a more strong saffron and paprika fragrance. Hope you all have enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more delicious Portuguese food stories.